Rotary's Camp Florida is a beautifully secluded recreation facility located in an 18-acre woodland in the heart of Hillsborough County, the greater Tampa area. Rotary's Camp Florida was established in December of 1991 for special needs children. The founding funds for this effort were provided by Hillsborough County Rotary clubs, with statewide Rotary participation to further develop and secure this site. This project will enable Rotary organizations to provide a summer camping facility for young people who would otherwise never experience the fun and friendship of camp.
Last night we had a carnival, and tonight we're supposed to be doing skits, and whoever wins the skits get pizza parties, and we have the cleanest cabin contests and all sorts of stuff.
Some of the children's groups that will use Rotary's Camp Florida facilities are the American Cancer Society's Florida Division Rock Camp, Reaching Out to Cancer Kids Camp, and other special needs groups including asthmatics, hemophiliacs, diabetics, and the physically and mentally challenged. Rotarians' commitment of service to others is how the project got started.
For about the past 10 years, Rotary clubs in Hillsborough County have supported the Children's Center for Cancer and Blood Diseases out at Moffitt Cancer Center. As a result of that interest and support, we were made aware of American Cancer Society's program called Rock Camp, Reaching Out to Cancer Kids. At the same time, several of our club members who were real estate brokers knew that the United Methodist Church had Camp Florida for sale. After the meeting, we sat around and talked, and the spark really came from that meeting. There was a camp for sale. Rock Camp needed a home. We put together a ad hoc committee to study it. We did our due diligence. We thought it could work, and from that, we took the program out to the 17 Rotary clubs in Hillsborough County to ask for their support. All of our hearts were touched with hearing about children with cancer, and that's where we started on this. To see them out there running, playing ball, playing with each other, and just forgetting that they had problems and having a week to their own was probably the best feeling.
The camp is within a 10-minute airlift to 5 major hospitals and has a fully operational infirmary on site. Rotary's Camp Florida has 8 air-conditioned residential cabins with the capacity of housing 100 campers. There is a dining hall serving family-style meals, an auditorium, an infirmary, open pavilions, a large screen pavilion, craft areas, and a junior Olympic-sized swimming pool. The camp is nestled among beautiful oak trees and 2 spring-fed sand-bottom lakes.
When we bought the camp had not been used as a camping facility for 2 years. Most of the buildings were built in the late 50s. Some were built in the 60s. The roofs were old. The windows were old. The camp was in a general state of disrepair. We knew that with the cancer kids, with the sick kids, we had to have the facilities air conditioned. So the first thing we did as we replaced the roof is we insulated over the roof, put new roofs on all the buildings. We tore out all of the old windows, all the old jalousie windows, all the old doors, put in new energy efficient windows and doors. We air conditioned all cabins. We air conditioned the dining hall. The facility now, the building that we're sitting in, is the pavilion. It's an open air facility. It's screened. It's raining outside now, but during the camping program, this building gives the kids someplace they can come into and play and still have fun.
Rotary's Camp Florida is proud to welcome the American Cancer Society's Rock Camp.
Because childhood cancer is relatively rare, I think kids feel fairly isolated when they're diagnosed. They're usually the only child in their school or their church or their neighborhood that has cancer. So as a result, they feel really very different from their peers. And I think being able to come to camp, they're no longer a patient, suddenly they're a camper. And they're a camper like all the other campers. And that has is a big boost to their self-esteem. I think it's also real nice to be able to be here and not be self-conscious about their appearance. They can be bald if they want to and not worry about it because there are other kids here that have similar appearances and similar experiences.
The special thing about having a permanent home for Rock Camp is the fact that kids with cancer don't have an opportunity to go to a normal camp. Many times these children require special needs that we can only get in a camp that's specifically designed for kids that are ill. The American Cancer Society's Florida Division is particularly grateful to the Rotary Clubs of Florida for their willingness to put together a camping facility that will house our rock camp. Rock Camp, which is reaching out to cancer kids, is the first camp of its kind in the country. It's been in existence for 17 years, and we're extremely proud of the fact that we have a permanent home where we can send over 200 kids a year for a unique camping experience.
You don't get treated different from everybody else, and it's like you don't have to be scared to take off your hat and be embarrassed and all that, because everybody, you know, most people here are bald and all that, so it's just like home. Yeah.
It's a place where you can get together with your friends and you can converse on stories, and you can grow to admire some other people, and you can really bond with other people, and you can kind of share your pain with other people. It makes it more bearable. Everyone here can really be honest with each other, and we can work things out together, and I just like to gel with the kids.
The American Cancer Society, Florida Division, completely funds Rock Camp so the children may attend at no cost to their families. Rotary's Camp Florida is assisting these special needs groups by charging access and use fees on as close to an at-cost basis as can be approximated. The Rotarians are tapping into their many business and social relationships for the camp by asking these friends to give of their time and talents, making Camp Florida a beautiful and special place for these children. Lastly, on a space available basis, the camp would be open to commercial use at an increased rental rate, allowing the community to take advantage of the beauty of these grounds.
Right, these kids are like any other kids, and like any other kids in this area, all gets ant bites and belly pains, and you know, they fight with each other and they have fun. It's, you know, they're kids like any other kids, but on top of things, they're very special. Sometimes you see those kids playing and running around, and then they stop and say, oh, it's my time for medication. You know, they won't come to the infirmary and have their medication, even the chemos. And sometimes I would like to see adolescents or adults taking their medication like these kids.
I think the kids come to camp with a pretty positive attitude, and we as counselors kind of facilitate. We're there to help them with activities and do things with them, but really, in my opinion, their attitudes are pretty positive, and they help us out too with our attitudes, and we just try to have a good time with them.
Primary short-term goal would be to finish the facility and to get it to the level that we would like to have it for the kids. Second short-term goal would be to have the facility filled during the summer and during the rest of the year with campers and with other groups that would use it. The primary long-term goal would be to have the facility paid for, where we can make it available to special medical needs kids and other special groups at little or no expense to the group. Some of these groups would like to set up summer camp programs and seminars for their brothers and sisters to give them some attention. At the same time, there is the goal to set up a seminar or a retreat for the parents. What you would find if you did a demographic study is that you would have a much higher incidence of divorce and of family strife and trouble in a family with an ill child. The financial burden, the emotional burden, all of the stress just wears the people down. And if they have the opportunity to come in for a retreat with just themselves, that will help them immensely and will then help the child.
I love Rock Camp, and I can't wait to come back next year.
Rotary's Camp Florida, helping to bring special children to nature, and a unique opportunity for Rotarians to serve the need of these special children.
The Florida Division of the American Cancer Society was in serious need of a permanent home for their camping program, Rock Camp. As you know, Rock Camp is the first and largest camping program for children with cancer in the nation. It's not as easy as you may think to find a facility for medically needy children. We have to have sophisticated special medical care, an infirmary to handle all kind of protocols and medical procedures, and we also have to have a facility that's small enough to monitor the children, yet large enough so they feel at home. We are so pleased that we have Rotary's Camp Florida. It fit the bill in every way. I'd like to share with you 3 stories of what happened at your camp, Rotary's Camp Florida, this summer while Rock Camp was in session. The first is about providing changes in children's lives that they can accomplish while at camp. We transport twice a day for radiation. Can you imagine transporting a child twice a day for radiation at a camp? It's not an easy job to do. We had just brought this child back to the camp. He was in the infirmary and was throwing up so rapidly in a bucket. And I walked over to him and I said, "Take your time, we have all day." And he looked up at me and he said, "Well, you may have all day, but I'm missing the water gun fight." Now that's changing a child's life. That's changing the focus from his cancer to living that day, to experiencing the joy and the happiness in that day. That happened at Rotary's Camp Florida. And let me share with you about saving lives. This summer we had a small young lady who wasn't breathing too well, and she didn't eat too much for supper, and her counselor, who by the way is a former cancer survivor, a former rock camp attendee, was putting her to bed, and she noticed she was breathing a little shallowly, and she said, "Are you feeling all right?" And the little girl said, "Well, yes, ma'am, but I guess I'm just tired." Well, the counselor thought, no, this may be a little more serious. She walked the child over to the infirmary. They put a heart monitor on this child and found that she was in progressive congestive heart failure. Can you imagine what would have happened if she would have been at any other camp without those medical facilities? This child was transported immediately into a major tumor program at Tampa, transported once again after she stabilized to a pediatric ICU program at another hospital, and then flown back to Orlando where her home resident physician could take care of her at the attending hospital also. This is serious business. This is life-saving business. How many times in our lives do we get to feel the experience, the joy, the overwhelming happiness at saving a life? Well, Rotarians, you did it, and you did it this summer at Rotary's Camp Florida. And thirdly, I'd like to share with you the ability to give hope in the future. Where can these children get hope? Where can they find other survivors? Where can they look at counselors who have beaten the odds? They can do it at Rotary's Camp Florida. The only bad day at camp is the last day, and that's because they don't want to leave. It takes them an hour to eat breakfast. A normal day, 5 minutes, and they're out of there. But on the last day, it's a struggle to get them ready to get on the bus. I watched a very little boy on his way to the bus with a baseball mitt under one hand and a pillow under the other. He saw his counselor. He walked over to him with one tear coming down his cheek. And he looked up at his counselor, dropped the pillow and the baseball mitt, put his arms around his neck and said, "I'm going to try so hard to live one more year so I can come back to rock camp next year." Changing lives, saving lives, providing hope for the future. That's what you're doing at Rotary's Camp Florida. We need your help. Won't you join us in this endeavor? There are many buildings available for sponsorship. There are many opportunities to participate. We desperately need to retire this debt service. If we could do that, we can implement more programs and expand our existing programs. You have the opportunity to truly make a difference. Won't you join the dream team, Rotary's Camp Florida?